Hey there, all you beautiful Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Yeah, I mean, let's go. Not too excited about the beginning of today's show because we have another mass school shooting, this one in Madison, Wisconsin. And as we learn more, we'll pass it right along with you. But helping us go through at least the preliminary information, retired Lieutenant Commander from the NYPD, Joe Cardinale, is back on the James Show. And we already have this isn't an active shooting situation. There was a lone shooter, and he is deceased. And what do we know about the damage other than the shooter?
Well, we know that there's 5 injured. There's 2 others that they're confirming. There's 2 plus the shooter. So that's 3 confirmed dead. And we have to remind everybody that we don't know what the extent of the injuries are. It could be anything from flying glass to a twisted ankle to actually somebody else being shot. So, the hospitals, there are 2 trauma centers, within a couple of miles of each other over there that they get everybody to. And as the police chief said, that they did this, they're training for this. They do this all the time, and they just had training the other day on something like this. So it seems all the components came into play. Now it's just a question of, I know the shooter's probably identified at this point. I myself would have detectives at the house getting search warrants if needed for the kid's room. All right, since they are identified as a juvenile, so you still need a search warrant for that particular room, believe it or not, unless it's exigent circumstances. But other than that, all the wheels are in motion right now, and the big thing is going to be why. Why did this person go in there, and how did they get the gun into the school? Was the gun planted there? Was it in a backpack? Which also leads us to the next question of, is the school a soft target? We don't know.
Well, yeah, still more questions than answered. We know this is a private Christian school, and we saw the shooting, I guess it was last year, with the Nashville private Christian school getting shot up by one of its former students. The police chief said that this was a student at the school too. So, I mean, I know it's too early to say with any sort of definition, but do you have the feeling that that overlap isn't an accident?
I believe that the person had intimate knowledge of the school, probably went to the school, as they're saying, another student. But, what's the underlying factor? I mean, were there red flags going up before this that nobody saw? I mean, there's going to be the normal questions in this, and we all, want to know the answers to it. How did this person have access to a gun? Was it a licensed firearm, or was it not a licensed firearm? If it was licensed, once again, how did this person get access to the firearm? All right, did this person have a car at the school, old enough to drive, still juvenile, but still old enough to drive? All right, so did they have a vehicle at the school that they have to go through? But I'm sure you're going to hear when a person is identified, they're going to say, "Oh, I always thought something was up with this particular person when they did X, Y, and Z," and they'll go back on the social media. Were there any red flags there? And that's something I've been saying for a long time with these logarithms on these social media sites. They kind of hinder anybody from going in and saying, well, this could have been identified had this been up and running on a social media platform, because you find out that they put like our shooter we talked about the other day, manifestos and everything else like that. But this might not be a manifesto case, but it might be something where this person was either getting help or needed help, and nobody picked up on it.
Well, so, mental health case is something that was brought up with the shooter from the United Health CEO. But other than that, these two don't seem to be very related. Like, I doubt this guy is mad about the healthcare system. He's a juvenile.
No, but it's the sensationalism of everything.
Right.
These kids, when they get involved in everything, it's just, like the sensationalism. They see something that happened. Even on this radio station, we spoke about it years ago with the Uvalde shooting, and we use that. And law enforcement goes on, and that's one of the big negatives in school shootings is that particular case, and what you learn from that, and what how you go on from there, and what the protocols are and everything. But aside from law enforcement stepping up their game and doing what they have to do to stay on top of these things, should they happen, getting all the components and emergency workers, the fire departments, the EMS workers, everybody getting involved, FBI, ATF, they all join in on that. But besides that, other people are watching, and these kids are watching how other kids do something, and they're looking how they react to certain things that may have happened in their lives. So the mental health aspect of this has to be addressed. And then what do we do to open up that door to let people see what's really going on with kids today,
So what's the role of the parents when you have a juvenile that is the shooter? Do they have to sign off on the search warrants, or does that have any effect on how we get answers?
Well, search warrants in a room that's controlled by an individual that's, like even a juvenile, that's still their space. And we had to get search warrants for that particular room because the parents could not authorize anybody to go into that room. So it's very simple. You secure the room. You don't let anybody in there. And you just go and get a search warrant just to play it, safe. You get the search warrant whether you need it or not. All right. And you go in there with the search warrant. So later on down the road, you find out if there's any culpability here. And the other thing is they already have precedents in parents being culpable in these. All right. We saw that already. And that's going to be the norm from now on. If you have firearms in the house and you didn't secure them, or that you knew your son or daughter has a gun, and it's always been mostly it's been men, but you think about it, and it's something that you as parents you have to say, you know what, little Johnny's been acting out lately. That gun's got to go someplace. Got to make sure everything is locked up where you can't get to something, And that's the world we live in today. But parents should know what's going on, especially when there's firearms in the house.
All right, Joe Cardinale, thanks for being on the James Show. Appreciate your time, sir.
Anytime, my friend. You take care.
Yeah, so 10:57 a.m. A student walks into his school, opens fire, and we have people dead and a few more in the hospital, and we're trying to put the pieces together. Yikes. Let's talk about it. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. More details on what's going down with this school shooting in Madison. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. On stories like this, your opinion is just as good as mine. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Madison Police Chief came out about an hour before the James Show started and did a press conference. I listened to the whole thing, and we're not getting a whole lot of information yet. We're awaiting some new info. There's supposed to be another press conference, and I guess it'll happen any second now, and we'll cut to it if we can. We have one camera that's fixated on a empty podium down in the bottom corner of the screen while they go on about their business on the rest of the Fox News and CNN I have on in the studio there. So we'll get you new updates as soon as they come in. But here's what we do know. Private school, Madison, Wisconsin. Let's go through some of the same things that we've done 1,000 times with these mass shootings. Let's try and evaluate here. Why is this such a big story compared to other shootings? Why is this going to be in national headlines? But we had 3 people that were killed in Dallas this weekend. Why isn't that national news? Well, I think we all know why. And I can spell it out for you. Whenever we see some kids get pulled over or someone try to get pulled over at 3 a.m. while they're getting off of I-30 onto, what was the road, Gus Thomason? Where was that? Yeah, and then they don't stop for the, Gus Thomason, there it was. So they don't stop for the Mesquite police, and then they crash when they're trying to do a high-speed U-turn to try and ditch the cops, and they all 4 run out on foot, and someone flashes a piece of the cops shoot back. We don't see our kids in that scenario. We don't see ourselves in that scenario. That's never going to happen to us. But the reason why these 3 people who are dead in Madison is going to be on the national news tonight is because these are, except for the shooter, these are people who did nothing wrong. These are people who are not caught up in the game. They're not out boosting cars. They're not out booting black tar heroin. They're not gangbangers. They're not druggies. They're not thuggies. They're not bad. They're just good little kids that went to school, and they're just trying to do their pre-algebra or whatever they were doing today. And by no fault of their own, even all the parents who've done everything right to make sure their kids are protected have to deal with this. That's what makes it so compelling. That's what makes it so scary. You can even say, well, public schools are so bad. I'm going to take the time and the effort and divert my scarce family resources to make sure my kids are going to a nice private school in Madison, Wisconsin. Still not safe. So that's why they want to, number one, this fits the narrative. They want to drive this into the ground. They want people to feel despair and think, well, the safety, it's just, there's no safety to be found. We've got to do something about these guns. But if they reported everything equally If they reported the 3 people that died just in the last 24 hours here in the Dallas area, running from the cops or getting shot up, and we don't know what it was, but teen dead after shooting in Mesquite, no arrest announced. This is another one off Galloway. We had more death in our own town than in this one, but it doesn't help the narrative. In fact, it would actively destroy the narrative if we reported honestly on all these. If we treated all lives and all murders equally, we wouldn't care about the Madison shooting, because we would know that we're just drowning in bodies here in our own backyard. But it's not the kind of fix where people would say, oh, we got to do something about guns. We got to do something about gun safety. We got to do something about gun control. You wouldn't be asking those questions if this was all reported fairly. But we're awaiting new details. An empty podium's had. We'll do the whole thing when it walks up. If we're on a commercial break, we'll hit pause. Then when we come back from commercial break, we'll let you know about it. But this is the one that scares you if you're a parent. This is the one that scares you if you still have kids in school, or if you recently had kids in school, or maybe you have grandkids who are in school. And, I'm not trying to talk you out of it. I'm not trying to say this isn't compelling, this isn't interesting, this isn't, newsworthy, a story like this. I just wish that there was more of an emphasis placed on all of the people that get shot in our backyard. It'd be kind of hard to convince the American people that we need more gun control when you would see like over 90% of the reporting on these gun crimes happen with people who are already in the game, who are already doing illegal stuff otherwise, who were out at 3 a.m. stealing cars or fighting over drug turf. You'd realize that the problem isn't the gun laws. The problem is clearly almost wholly existing in some very small cultural circles, and gun control is the rule of the roost there, and it doesn't do anything. Think about the guys who got in trouble for gun crimes. Just look at the local news around here. For the people who, let's say the guys got shot, were they legally allowed to have a gun? No. So gun control failed. What about the guys that pulled a gun on the cops yesterday? Yeah, well, probably shouldn't have had a gun. I think they were all juveniles. Gun control failed. And then here, if we looped it all together, we could say this happened at a school. Gun control failed. It's not going to be reported like that, but don't you wish it was? So we have 2 killed, 6 injured, according to CNN. And then also the shooter is dead. I really don't like counting the shooter among the victims here. When they say 3 dead, well, 2 are really dead and the shooter killed himself. So we have 2 people that were murdered and a suicide. But that's going down. That's what happened at Madison today. So when you get home, hug your kiddos a little tighter. Or when you go pick them up from school or band practice or whatever they're doing, you got to go to the Christmas concert maybe tomorrow or something. Maybe go see the grandkids. Yeah, give them a little bit extra hug. And if they want to get a snack or they want to get a candy bar at the gas station or whatever, maybe just let them do that today. I know I haven't got the messages yet. Wait, let me check. I bet you I'm starting to get them now. We have the Ann Coulter rule is in effect, and the Ann Coulter rule is the longer they wait to tell you the demographics of the shooter, the less likely it is to be a straight white male. I know that's not fun. I know it's so early to say that, but there was an obvious dodge in the press conference before the show. I recorded it for you, just this little clip here.
They never fired their weapons.
That is correct.
Let's follow that one question.
I don't know if it's a male or female, but the police department did not fire their weapons. Thank you.
Don't know if it's a male. How do you not know if it's a male or female? Is this like Ketanji Brown Jackson, who made her Broadway debut this weekend? That's later in the show. Who pretends like she can't tell the difference between a male or a female? Or do you know and not want to tell us? Is it a trans? Oh, no, because that's what all the kids on X are saying. And I don't see anything to back it up. But they put us in this situation when they don't just tell us, you know what? Why play the games? Why fuel the fire? Why do that? Because we have a whole nother ball of wax on our hands. That's kind of what we're waiting on now. Is this another trans shooting? Because there's been a lot of these lately. The Colorado Springs, and I know what you're thinking, the Nashville one just last year. That was another private Christian school. Turned out it was someone who wrote a manifesto, and they're not too happy with Christians and Christianity. They're looking to take Christians down a peg. Same thing that happened at the Joel Osteen Church earlier this year. Another trans shooter came in there, started squeezing off rounds and got taken down. That one went out the window. You haven't heard anything else about the Joel Osteen Church shooter since it happened, have you? Oh my goodness, that's so weird. We don't get regular updates. We still haven't seen the manifesto. We just saw someone took some cell phone pictures of an open page and posted it on X. We had a leak of it, but you haven't seen the whole thing. We hadn't seen it typed out. We don't know. But you've heard about Uvalde. Heard about Parkland and Sandy Hook and all the ones that fit the narrative. And we don't know if this one fits the narrative yet, but we're about to find out. And you may have to hear about this for the next few years to come, regular updates, or it'll just disappear into the ether, never to be heard from again. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Sports fans, James Parker here for the Prize Picks app. We have 2 Monday Night Football games. I don't know when we started doing that, but that makes Prize Picks a little extra fun here. Look, they've got some real low statistics over here. Bijan Robinson, the running back for Atlanta, his statistics says 0.5 rushing plus receiving TDs. So if he gets a touchdown, rushing or receiving, no matter what, boom, there's a winner right there. You get one other guy, you have a lineup, you can turn a little bit of money into a lot of money real quick. And if you want to get real adventurous and you want to make some difficult picks on a 6-man lineup, we have the payouts now to 1,000 times your cash. So a $5 play could get you $5,000 if you get them all correct. That's some serious Christmas money. Go check it out. Download the Prize Picks app with your first $5 play. If you use promo code WBAP, you'll get $50 in promo cash. And if you like the show and you want me continue and maybe have my kids go to college, just download the app, try the promo code WBAP, and play it. If you hate it, never play it again. You can even send me an email and cuss me out. But try it. Download the Prize Picks app. Use promo code WBAP, $50 with your first $5 play. Prize Picks. Run your game. All right. Welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. I'm going to play you the audio from the press conference from Sean Barnes, the police chief of Madison, Wisconsin. If you're looking for some answers, you're going to be really disappointed. Here's what he said just a few minutes ago.
Today truly is a sad day for Madison and for our country. It is a day that I believe will live in our collective minds for a very, very long time. Here are the details. Today at 10:57 a.m., our team was called to the Abundant Life Christian School in reference to an active shooter. We know that 3 people are dead, including the suspect shooter. We know that the suspect shooter was a teenage student who attended the school. At this time, we're not releasing the age or gender of the student or any other identifying.
All right, you can stop it right there. When did this happen? That a kid's gender became so politically tinged that we couldn't even touch it. It used to be, it's a male juvenile or a female juvenile. We can't even throw the gender out anymore. Okay. All right. So that's 2024 going into 2025. Just knowing the gender, something that used to not be political for your entire life, is now political. Great. That everyone's so sensitive about that. That really helps. That's what we need right now. That's what we need. We don't want to have an open, honest, transparent discussion about the tragedy that's happening right behind you. Now, I always got to protect the narrative at all costs. Always got to protect it no matter what. So we have a school shoot. If you're just joining, a school shooting in Madison, Wisconsin. 3 people are dead. 2 of them were killed by the teenage student, and then it's suspected he turned the gun on himself. He, she, we don't know. It could be a he, she. This is so exhausting. Come on now. We can't just drop it for a second. Police, we do not know motive for shooting. That's fair. The Madison mayor is now speaking. She says we need to do better to prevent gun violence. Great. That's just great. These people just waste no time immediately being political. And then I'm probably going to get messages from people saying I shouldn't be politicizing this immediately. I'm not politicizing it. So we have the Ann Coulter rule, which says the longer they wait to report the demographics of a criminal, the less likely it is to be a straight white man. It's someone that fits the narrative there. So we have the Ann Coulter rule in play, and I'm sad it exists. I'm sad we have to have this. I don't think it's fun or it's funny. This is one of the rules that comes to mind whenever we're told that when Caitlin Clark tells us we have white privilege or this place is inherently racist. Well, if it's not racist against black people, it's not racist against people of color. If anything, we have a whole set of community standards and ethos that are just blatantly anti-white. Whether it's every DEI initiative, whether it's affirmative action, whether it's how we report the news, whether it's how we just manifest race in these stories where there is no race. And then when there actually is some violence between, the transgender and the cisgendered community, It's almost exclusively in one direction, and it gets swept under the rug. A perceived racist death of George Floyd. And I say perceived because Derek Chauvin never said any ethnic slurs. There's no evidence, not one shred of detail that says race was a factor at any point in the encounter. But that's just deemed as a racial, just obviously, I mean, these people are being picked on and destroyed, and that's how evil our society is. How many anti-Christian shootings do we have to have before someone even comes up with the word for it? Because we don't even have a word for it. Has anybody ever been called Christophobic? When the Nashville shooter went and shot up a private Christian school, was she called Christophobic? Is this person going to be called Christophobic for shooting up the private Christian school in Madison, Wisconsin, when there was a trans shooter with Free Palestine on her gun, shooting up the Joel Osteen Church in Houston? Was she called Christophobic or Jesusophobic? So we don't even have a word for it. Beautiful, isn't it? Beautiful. When there's no animus, they can manifest it. But when there's actual animus, they cover up for it. All in one direction. All to make you look bad. All to make me look bad. All to make this country look bad. Media, you stink. It's disgusting. You can't even hit pause for dead kids. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. And now here's a bunch of stuff I don't want to say, but I have to because the media does such a poor job. If you go online, you're going to see far more details. You're going to see far more footage that's being shown on TV. You're going to see internet sleuths digging up stuff before it'll ever make it to the TV. And this is your media now. This is far more trustworthy than what's on CNN. And you know it is, because whether or not, I mean, they get the details of this crystal clear or not, how can you trust them? They were shady when they reported on the Nashville Christian shooter. They were shady about reporting on the shooter at Joel Osteen's church. They were shady about the trans guy that killed his parents in St. George, Utah, the trans guy that went and shot up the club in Denver, the one who shot up the gay bar in Colorado Springs, the one who went on the shooting mass transit in Aberdeen, the Philly shooter that was also trans. We've seen them do this too many times. And on top of that, I mean, not only just it's not a trans-specific pattern of lying. You know, when they told you the trans people at the Olympics were Dionysus, not the Last Supper. We just found out the Duke lacrosse rape was absolutely a hoax beyond the shadow of a doubt. These are the people who told you just a few months ago that Biden wasn't demented and he was the best guy to be president. He wasn't going to be replaced. All these videos showing him glitching out like your AOL in 1998, that they're just cheap fakes. These are the same people that told you inflation is transitory and the vaccine works. Oh, you won't get sick. You won't transmit the disease. You won't go to the hospital. You won't die. You need to wear this mask too. Masks don't work. Everything from Trump-Russian collusion to Hunter's laptop being a Russian plant to the P-tapes to the very fine people quote, kids in cages to the Daniel Penny is a murderer, but Luigi Mangione is a hero. And they still they pretend like they don't know that's Hunter's cocaine in the White House. Now we can't trust them even when there's dead kids here. Media, I know they're not listening to me right now because it doesn't happen too much like with our local TV stations. Like this isn't a complaint about WFAA. And this isn't even really that much of a complaint about the Dallas Morning News. It's just that there's this weird gatekeeping problem that happens when you're a national news outlet, that you can pick a murder in one of our 250 biggest cities, and you can either make it go away or make it a main story and report on it so much that other media outlets necessarily have to report on it. And look at how ugly their story selection is. Just the ones that divide us. Just the ones that make us scared, just the ones that make us doubt our constitutional rights. Those are the ones they highlight. And the sooner we can get that fixed. Again, I think internet's playing a bigger and bigger part in that every day. Go into X whenever you see something where you go, oh, just roll your eyes at the TV. Now you have an alternative to go look up the real story. This is ugly, but I see that this can't last. This is going to be getting better and better and better as every day goes by, because there's more people to hold them accountable. It used to just be talk radio, but now we have talk radio plus the internet plus all of you. You're your own little networks. You don't know that, but those 800 followers you have on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, man, every little bit of that helps, because if we can get 1,000 or maybe 10,000 people like that tweeting the same thing, it reaches more people than a CNN does any day. I'll keep an eye on this, let you know what other shady stuff pops up if they ever admit to who it is before the end of the show. You'll hear it here first. Help Salad & Go make the holidays bright for a child in need by donating to Cumulus Kids. Cumulus is our parent company. And if you donate $100 or more, go to WBAP.com. You will be entered into a drawing to win an autographed football from Deion Sanders, Micah Parsons, or Keith Urban tickets. So join Salad and Go and donate now. WBAP.com on the homepage. Look for Cumulus Kids. If you got any comments on the Madison shooter, I'd love to hear it. 800-288-9227. Brian Boyd, immigration attorney, next on The James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.